Greetings, everyone. I'm Jennifer Quintero. I'm a graduate student at the UTRGV School of Social Work, and I conducted this mock research just to demonstrate different practices that we've learned throughout the course. Once again, this is a mock research. The data that will be presented here towards the end is not accurate data. It's not data that was actually gathered, so I just wanted to make this clear at the beginning of the presentation. So this study was conducted for online learning courses and their effectiveness in the UTRGV School of Social Work from a student's perspective. So for the abstract, the reason why I decided to conduct this research is because I saw a need to identify the perspective of the students who attend online courses in higher education. There is a lot of research as far as the development of the courses, what goes into the courses, the implementation, the actual way of teaching the courses. But I just thought it was important as an online student, online graduate student at the School of Social Work, that this information be conducted or be gathered from my peers. So I decided to do this study just to gather that information. From a total of 233 students who did receive the survey, 120 responded. So we had a good response. And before I go into detail, I just like to add that the overall research or data that was gathered was a positive outcome, that the learning experienced by the students from the perspective of the students was positive. So within the School of Social Work, there is data from 2021 that demonstrates that 90.8% of the students enrolled in the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley overall are Hispanic or Latino. 3.29% are white, 1.43% are Asian, 0.874% are Black or African American, and 0.213% are two or more races. There's other races included in this data, but that's the overall demographics of UTRGV as a whole. So we can just determine that within the School of Social Work, the majority is also Hispanic or Latino. And the mission for the School of Social Work is that the School of Social Work is committed to preparing generalist and advanced professional social workers to meet the needs of a binational and multicultural community. The educational emphasis on social work practice with Latinos considering multicultural competence, ethical practice, knowledge building, and social services that promote social and economic justice. So this is the mission for the School of Social Work in UTRGV. For this study, literature review was conducted. I did review various literature that had to do with higher education and online learning. For Castro and Tumabay 2019, they did a comparison of the online and traditional face-to-face settings, and they identified important factors of online learning delivery, right? The way in which it's delivered has a big impact on whether or not the outcome of the learning is beneficial or positive. And there were factors of institutional adoption of online learning to be considered as well within this literature. So for Software and NACMEA's 2018, they actually evaluated 6 different courses, 3 of which were face-to-face or traditional, and the other 3 were the exact same courses that were online. So they had the opportunity to evaluate and compare those, and their findings actually suggested that the online courses have been proven to be either just as effective as a traditional face-to-face or even more effective than the face-to-face courses. For Kidron and Kali 2023, they concluded findings that depict a greater benefit when asynchronous courses were taught and learned through a learning community rather than learning individually. So this one was a little different. They focused their study on, both of them were online learning modalities, but one of them was online learning with groups, and the other one was online learning individually. So they did find a greater benefit in learning as a group, even within the online courses. So this was an interesting find, considering that as a student in online courses, we are expected to conduct a lot of tasks or projects with group work. we have discussions that go back and forth. So this is interesting to see because it's possible that UTRGV School of Social Work adopted this practice because of evidence-based literature. Dunford and Miller 2018 found that when online courses were required required students to have a collaboration or participation among the group, as was prior discussed, then their engagement was higher, or their motivation for engagement was higher. But when it wasn't a requirement, then the engagement was less, and in turn, the learning was not as much or not as positive as those that did require group learning. For Mueller and Mildenberger 2021, their findings showed that there was very little and at times no change at all that impacted the learning from the traditional to online classroom learning outcomes. These findings that show no change at all, they were a little surprising to me, just considering I think it's the type of learner that I am. More hands-on, more interactive. I assumed, or I thought, that there would be more benefit or more positive outcome for the traditional learning. But it seems that the literature shows that there's not a very big difference, and in most cases, the online learning is even better than or even more beneficial for students than the traditional face-to-face learning. So this was an interesting find. I think I'm just maybe an outlier, but the online learning has really helped me and has given me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have been able to complete had this not been an option. So the objectives. The purpose of this study was to gather information, as previously mentioned, about the students' perspective from the UTRGV School of Social Work online program and their experiences with the online learning program. First question was, did students pass the online courses taken the prior semester? The second question, was the learning experience a positive one for students taking online courses? And the third, in comparison to traditional courses, was the learning experience better or worse than the online learning? My hypothesis for this, considering the literature that I'd been reviewing and considering my own personal experience, was that there would be a high passing rate and a high interpretation of knowledge or learning for the courses among the students enrolled in the School of Social Work. I do believe that it would be high. I believe that it would be positive, considering that I'm going through it, considering that the literature does show positive impacts or outcomes for this type of learning. So the methodology for this study, I decided to create a survey on a Likert scale, 3 questions, simple questions that the students could answer quickly. And this was only given to students who were enrolled in an online course for the School of Social Work in fall of 2023. So it's the first question, did you pass your online course that semester? 1 for did not pass any courses, 2 for passed some courses, or 3 passed all courses. And if you notice, the 1 is like a negative outcome and the 3s would be like a positive outcome. So they'll all align in that manner for questions 1, 2, and 3. Second question, how much did you feel you learned in your courses last semester? 1, did not learn anything. 2, learned something. Or 3, you felt like you learned a lot. And then question 3, how did you feel your online learning was in comparison to traditional learning? So this was trying to implement that comparison, right, that some of the literature had in previous studies. So 1, did you feel that your learning was worse than traditional learning? 2, same as traditional learning? Or 3, better than traditional learning? And once again, a total of 233 surveys were sent via mass email, and a total of 120 surveys were submitted by students back to us. If you can see the results, overall the results were positive. For the first question, if they passed, 99.2 students did respond that they passed all of their courses. Did they feel that they learned in their online courses? 76.7% of students did give a response for a number 3, that they felt like they learned a lot. And how did they feel in comparison from their online courses to their traditional courses? 77% of the students felt that the online courses helped them learn more. And this last question was the only question where 7 students didn't answer, and that is assumed. It's assumed that they don't have anything to compare to. Maybe their whole graduate program has been online courses, so there's nothing that they can compare to as far as traditional. And overall, we can see in these graphs that the data is overwhelmingly positive. The maroon shows the number 3, which is a positive outcome. So we can see for question A, question B, and question C that there is a lot of number 3. The higher percentage was for 3 on the Likert scale. And these are the references that we used for this study. Once again, I just want to say thank you for listening to this presentation. I'd like to reiterate that the data that was gathered and analyzed through the IBM SPSS was data that was made up just for the purpose of this final project. This is not accurate or real data. Thank you for your time. And I do further recommend, or I suggest that this be implemented within the School of Social Work and also within other schools among universities, because although it is important that we demonstrate that we are developing a course and that it is being taught in the manner in which it should be, it is critical in every single program that we conduct evaluation based on the client's perception, in which case in a graduate program, us as the students, we are considered to be the client or the customer because we are receiving the service. So that's just my recommendation. Thank you for your time.